Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram over at Ask Adam Torres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. I have on Blake Harris, who was recently published in one of our Money Matters book. It was Real Estate Edition Volume 2. I'm proud to have published him, and today we're going to get into Blake's chapter and also what he's doing over at Mile High Estate Planning. Blake, just to start out, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show, Adam. Good to be back.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into today's content. So we're going to talk about your recent publication, Asset Protection for Real Estate, and why, and what it means to real estate owners and our listeners out there. That being said, though, before we jump into the chapter, I do want to give, for those of the new listeners that maybe didn't catch your first episode, I want to get, let's start off with a little bit of an overview of what you're doing over at Mile High Estate Planning, please.
Sure. So I'm the managing attorney here at Mile High Estate Planning. We're based in Denver, Colorado, but we help individuals, clients, couples throughout Colorado and throughout the nation with their asset protection needs. Asset protection is the process of putting our clients in a better position to survive their lawsuit than they would have been without the asset protection.
Awesome. And by the way, we'll get back a little bit more into Mile High in a moment, but I think that's our estate planning, but I think that's a great transition. So let's get into your chapter in the most recent book, so Asset Protection for Real Estate. So just to start us off, let's get into why you need to protect real estate. So where do you want to start with that one?
Sure. So real estate is an incredibly good way to accumulate wealth. It's a great tool. You can leverage your money. We've seen real estate values grow for most of my life, most of the past 100 years. However, it's also a great way to get yourself sued. If you're not holding your assets properly, you are at risk for ending up on the wrong end of the lawsuit and compromising or losing a lot of the money that you put into your investments or the profits that you see from your real estate investments.
Yeah, I noticed that, and we go through your chapter, I mean, I know you give, you hit on multiple different things, and we're not going to have time to go through all of them today. And by the way, as a hook to the listeners, we want you to go out and buy the book, of course. So we're going to have a link in the show notes and all that good stuff, so you can pick up a copy for yourself and get more of what Blake taught in the chapter. But let's just start off with an overview of maybe the differences of some of the nuances that you mentioned in the single member LLCs versus the limited partnership. Let's get into that a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to just phrase the whole chapter and then I'll break it down. So there's three parts. There's a single member LLC, there's a multi-member corporation, and then there's the asset protection trust. The single member LLC is part one. These operate much like a sewer cover. What you do is you put in a single member LLC over your piece of rental property, over your piece of real estate, and this reduces the chance that one of your assets goes toxic, and it prevents that toxic asset from bubbling up and affecting your other assets. Now, it doesn't protect that asset from being taken away. Let's say you're sued in your personal life for running someone over with your car, but it keeps that asset safe from infecting your other assets. So that's step one, the single member LLC. Step two is the multi-member corporation, often a limited partnership or just a multi-member LLC. Now, this gives our clients charging order protection. What charging order protection says is that if a client is sued and somebody's trying to take away one of their pieces of real estate, trying to seize one of their assets, this charging order protected entity gives our clients the ability to delay paying a judgment. Delaying when you pay a judgment is an excellent tool in helping to negotiate a settlement. Plaintiff attorneys turn down 7 out of every 10 cases that come across their desk. If you have the ability to tell a plaintiff attorney that you can sue my client and we can wait as long as we want to pay you, then you're much more likely to have someone not even sue you in the first place. So step one, single member LLC. Step two, charging order protected entity. And then step three is the asset protection trust. And this is a real spine, this is a real backbone. And an asset protection trust is where we actually draft a trust that says clients don't have to pay anything to a suing creditor, to somebody trying to take one of their assets to seize some of their real estate.
So, Blake, I know this is going to vary from person to person, of course, and also from, the complexity of situation. But what do you find are some of the common mistakes in your experience that people make when setting up these entities that kind of leave them, exposed?
So this is a question I get often with estate planning and with asset protection. I'm going to tell a quick story about that illustrates the example. Well, I'll answer it, and it's waiting too long. It's putting it off. I started my law firm the year that my children were the year that my children were born. My children just celebrated their 7th birthday about a week ago. They're boy girl twins.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
Thank you. When they were born, I knew that I needed to set up a will and trust for my own children. It wasn't until they were and I was working as an estate planning asset protection attorney at the time. It wasn't until they were about 2 years old that I actually got around to taking care of my own estate planning needs. It's like a plumber that goes around and fixes everybody else's toilet, but becomes home to a broken toilet themselves. And it's the most common mistake. It's a mistake I made, and it's a mistake that I see other people making as well. Waiting too long, or thinking that they don't have enough assets. That's a very common one as well. There's a common misconception that asset protection is only for the super wealthy. This is simply not true. Take 2 clients. Client 1 has $1 million. Client 2 has $100 million. If both of these clients were sued for, let's say, $5 million, I'd be telling client 1, you have to settle this case. You have to pay something out. Client 2 with $100 million, I'd say, don't settle anything. Go hire the best defense attorneys in the country. Fight it, and if you lose, it's not going to affect your standard of living. It's not going to affect your quality of life. So the number 1 is putting it off, and number 2 is thinking they don't have enough assets. The majority of clients who I set up an asset protection plan for have somewhere between a few $100,000 and a few $1 million. I'd probably say between $500,000 and $5 million is where the majority of individuals fall.
Man, that's I love your tips, because you're right. Putting it off, I think, is the number one thing. And what people don't understand, I think, is maybe some of the other nuances to estate planning that, like you mentioned, for a certain net worth, okay, and thinking about money. But when you think about the thought process of children and other things, I mean, there's some other considerations that come into play outside of money. Can you talk on some of those for us, please?
Sure. So there are 2 reasons to create an asset protection plan, 2 reasons to put together an estate plan. And when I talk about them, they should be done together. There's case law that says your asset protection plan holds up better, is stronger if you create your estate plan at the same time. So when clients come to me concerned about a potential lawsuit, concerned about protecting their property from potential creditors, what I say is, okay, we're going to set up an asset protection trust for you, a single member LLC, a holding corporation too, but we're also going to set up your estate plan. And we do this for a couple of reasons. One is the majority of my asset protection clients have not signed a will. 70% of individuals haven't signed a will, and the majority of my potential asset protection clients haven't done their estate plan or don't have their estate plan up to date. So we take care of that as well at the same time. But it's not just about money. Money is an important driving factor. It's what gets a lot of people into my office. But really what's important is preserving family harmony. In many cases, or in some cases, the unfortunate ones, and it happens quite a bit, the beginning of probate, so when an individual passes away, or the beginning of a lawsuit, is the end of the relationship between certain family members, whether it's step-parents, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Having a properly drafted estate plan where intentions are set out, there's no room for argument, can go a long way in both preserving the family assets and in preserving family harmony.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I've seen it. I've seen it when I was a financial advisor. I'd see it, and it's not always the money thing. Sometimes it's emotional things. Sometimes it's a specific piece of property. It's not always the dollars and cents. But you won't be surprised. But some of the people listening that aren't in the business that are dealing with this, brothers, sisters stop talking. Cousins, sometimes mother and child. It depends on how things were set up. But families families can be broken up without having this done. So for some of the people out there that are maybe procrastinating because they don't think it's the right time or the right type of money, or they're going to think about it, or maybe they think they're already protected, I mean, think a little bit about the emotional side of preserving the family unit after you're gone. If everything is set up, then it makes it easier not easier to move on, obviously emotionally, but it makes it less likely that there's going to be fighting within the family, because you'd be surprised. Like, things change, especially when it's the patriarch or the matriarch of the family leaves the picture. Like, the whole family framework has the opportunity to change it. Sometimes it may not come out the way you want if you don't have those things pre-planned or set up in advance. So love all those tips, love all that reasoning, Blake. So that being said, Blake, I can talk to you about this all day, especially if we start getting into stories. But that being said, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on Mile High estate planning, two-part question. Number one, what's typically the right type of fit for a clientele for you, number one? Number two, what's the best way for them to reach out and to learn more about Mile High estate planning?
So we are a full-service estate planning law firm. We don't do anything outside of estate planning. We don't do divorces. We don't do car accidents. We don't do anything criminal. But we do everything in the estate planning arena. So that starts with drawing up incapacity documents as soon as your 18-year-old goes off to college, setting up a revocable trust for a young family that just had a baby and wants to make sure that that baby has a protected trust, setting up an asset protection trust for the family as they get older and accumulate more assets, setting up a Medicaid protective trust when it comes time for the family to retire and they're concerned about nursing home care. And then we also help with the administration portion after the family passes away. So our clients really cover a wide variety of people, ages and income. In terms of getting a hold of us, pick up the phone. You can give us a call. Our number's on our website, milehighestateplanning.com, or you can go online, contact us through our website. Schedule a free consultation. We always start with a free consultation so we can learn whether or not you're an individual or a family that we could help, and so that you can learn more about us and get comfortable working with us. All of our work is done on a flat fee basis. After the initial consultation, we would be able to quote you a price for what it costs to set up an asset protection plan, set up an estate plan for you, and you know exactly what you're getting into. We don't charge annual fees for 99% of our clients, and we actually encourage our clients to call us at any time once we've been engaged to ask questions about their plan, so that we can help keep their estate in line with their goals as their life situation changes.
Man, that's awesome. Well, hey, Blake, really, first off, thank you for your contribution to our most recent Money Matters book, Real Estate Edition Volume 2. Was an honor to publish your work. Loved it. I know you're going to help a lot of our readers out there that have been following us for a long time get protected and really, take their real estate game to the next level in terms of asset protection. So thank you for that. And also thank you for coming back on the podcast. It's been a pleasure having you back on, and for all the value and tips that you added here. So thank you for that. And to the audience who is listening, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Also pick up that book. We'll definitely have a link in the show notes for it so you can read Blake's writing there. And Blake, thanks again for coming back on the show.